When obsession meets transcendence, the results aren't just career-ending, they're soul-destroying. You're about to witness the moment when military discipline, systematic training, and absolute determination encountered something so far beyond human capability that it shattered not just a reputation, but a man's entire sense of reality. Subscribe to discover more untold stories of when maximum preparation met impossible mastery and created destruction that went beyond humiliation into genuine psychological annihilation. The stopwatch shattered into 17 pieces when Lee Marvin hurled it against the Paramount Pictures wall with the kind of desperate rage that comes from watching 18 months of obsessive preparation become meaningless in 0.09 seconds. At 48 years old and after dedicating every waking moment to systematic revenge, Marvin stood in the ruins of his carefully constructed comeback, staring at Sammy Davis Jr. with the hollow expression of a man whose entire sense of purpose had just been obliterated by something that operated beyond the reach of discipline, training, or human determination. What had just happened on that November afternoon in 1972 wasn't just the fastest draw anyone had ever witnessed. It was the moment when Hollywood's most systematically prepared performer discovered that 18 months of military-grade training, scientific methodology, and obsessive dedication could be made completely irrelevant by someone who treated impossible capability like a casual social skill. Sammy Davis Jr., at 47 years old, calmly checked his reflection in a nearby mirror and looked at the devastated Marvin with an expression that mixed genuine sadness with the quiet understanding of someone who had just witnessed the complete destruction of another human being's reason for existence. This is the untold story of the day, when systematic obsession met transcendent mastery, when maximum preparation encountered effortless superiority, and when 0.09 seconds ended not just a career, but a man's entire belief that effort could overcome natural impossibility. November 1972 at Paramount Studios represented the culmination of Lee Marvin's 18-month journey from humiliation to what he believed would be redemption. The first encounter with Sammy in 1970 had been devastating enough, but what had made it truly unbearable was the casual way Sammy had achieved his victory, as if superior capability required no effort, preparation, or systematic development. For a man whose entire identity was built on the principle that discipline and determination could overcome any obstacle, Sammy's effortless superiority represented not just defeat, but an existential crisis that challenged everything Marvin understood about achievement, capability, and the relationship between effort and results. Which is why Marvin had spent the following 18 months in what could only be described as systematic obsession, with developing the capabilities necessary to defeat Sammy Davis Jr. in a rematch that would restore his reputation and validate his belief that proper preparation could overcome any natural advantage. "This time will be different," Marvin had been telling anyone who would listen throughout his preparation period. "Last time I was unprepared, casual, overconfident. But I understand the challenge now, and I've developed systematic methodology that will neutralize whatever natural ability he possesses." His approach to the rematch had been militaristic in its thoroughness and scientific in its precision. Marvin had hired the 3 best quick-draw instructors in the country, studied biomechanical analysis, and subjected himself to training regimens that exceeded anything attempted by competitive shooters or professional gunfighters. More importantly, he had developed what he believed was a comprehensive understanding of Sammy's capabilities based on detailed analysis of their first encounter. Marvin was convinced that Sammy's victory had been the result of natural talent that could be systematically overcome through proper preparation and scientific methodology. The confrontation began when Marvin arrived at Paramount Studios carrying equipment that looked more appropriate for military training than entertainment industry demonstration. His collection of timing devices, biomechanical analysis tools, and systematic training aids suggested someone who approached the upcoming challenge as a scientific problem to be solved through comprehensive preparation. "I've spent 18 months preparing for this moment," Marvin announced to the assembled group of studio executives, directors, and industry professionals who had gathered to witness what was being promoted as the definitive test of systematic preparation versus natural ability. His appearance had changed dramatically during the preparation period. The casual confidence that had characterized his previous approach had been replaced by the kind of systematic intensity that suggested someone who had devoted every aspect of his life to achieving a single objective. "Last time I underestimated what systematic preparation could accomplish," Marvin continued, his voice carrying the conviction of someone whose obsessive dedication had convinced him that victory was inevitable. "But 18 months of military discipline, scientific analysis, and systematic training have produced capabilities that will neutralize any natural advantage." Sammy was nearby, reviewing script changes for a variety special, his demeanor carrying the same casual relaxation that had characterized his approach to their previous encounter. The contrast between Marvin's systematic intensity and Sammy's effortless composure was immediately apparent to everyone present. "The difference between our first encounter and this one," Marvin explained to his audience, "is that I now understand the scientific principles that govern optimal performance. Natural talent can be systematically overcome through proper preparation and methodical application of proven techniques." He gestured toward his collection of training equipment and analytical tools. 18 months of systematic development has produced capabilities that operate according to scientific principles rather than casual intuition. This time, the results will be different because the preparation has been different. Sammy looked up from his script notes, recognizing that Marvin had spent considerable time and effort preparing for what appeared to be a formal challenge to their previous encounter. "Lee," Sammy said pleasantly, "I can see you've put serious work into developing your capabilities. That level of dedication is genuinely impressive." Marvin smiled with the satisfaction of someone whose systematic preparation had been properly acknowledged by the person he intended to defeat. 18 months of systematic training," Marvin replied with obvious pride. "Military discipline, scientific methodology, biomechanical optimization. Everything that was missing from our first encounter has been systematically developed and perfected." Sammy nodded thoughtfully, as if receiving valuable information about the relationship between systematic preparation and performance improvement. "That's remarkable dedication," Sammy said. "Very comprehensive approach to skill development." He paused, maintaining his characteristic diplomatic politeness. "Though I wonder if there might be different definitions of what 18 months of preparation can actually accomplish against certain types of capability." Marvin interpreted Sammy's response as natural concern about facing someone who had undergone systematic transformation through proper training and scientific methodology. "There's only one way to determine what systematic preparation can accomplish," Marvin said with the confidence of someone whose obsessive dedication had convinced him that victory was inevitable. "Direct comparison under controlled conditions that will demonstrate the superiority of scientific methodology over casual approach." The suggestion created immediate excitement among the assembled studio personnel, who recognized that they were about to witness either a confirmation of systematic preparation over natural ability or a discovery that would challenge fundamental assumptions about the relationship between effort and achievement. Word of Marvin's challenge spread quickly through the studio, and within minutes a substantial crowd had gathered to witness what most assumed would be either a vindication of systematic training or a repeat of the casual superiority that had characterized their previous encounter. Marvin's preparation for the demonstration was elaborate and ritualistic. He spent nearly 20 minutes setting up his equipment, explaining his systematic methodology, and demonstrating the biomechanical principles that would govern his scientifically optimized performance. Systematic preparation requires eliminating all variables that could compromise optimal results, Marvin explained to the assembled observers as he conducted his methodical setup. Equipment configuration, stance optimization, mental preparation, biomechanical analysis, every element has been systematically developed through 18 months of scientific training. His approach was comprehensive and impressive, representing everything that systematic methodology could achieve when applied by someone with unlimited dedication and resources for comprehensive preparation. Sammy watched Marvin's extensive setup with polite interest, but made no move to conduct similar preparation or demonstrate comparable systematic development. He remained in his characteristic relaxed posture, looking like someone attending a technical demonstration rather than preparing to participate in serious competition. The difference between systematic and casual approach, Marvin continued his explanation, is that scientific methodology produces consistent results based on proven principles, while natural talent relies on unpredictable variables that can't be controlled or optimized through proper preparation. Sammy accepted standard equipment from a technical coordinator and adjusted it with the same casual attention he had demonstrated during their previous encounter, as if 18 months of systematic development by his opponent had no relevance to his own approach. "Aren't you going to demonstrate any systematic preparation?" Marvin asked, noting Sammy's apparent lack of scientific methodology or comprehensive setup. "I think I'll be fine," Sammy replied, straightening his tie with the same casual attention he gave to most routine grooming activities. Marvin looked at Sammy's unchanged approach to what he considered the definitive test of systematic methodology versus natural ability, with the expression of someone who was confident that his comprehensive preparation would prove decisive. A Paramount Pictures director volunteered to oversee the demonstration, setting up professional timing equipment and establishing rules that would ensure objective measurement of systematic preparation versus casual approach. "Redemption match," the director announced. 18 months of systematic training against natural ability. We'll see whether comprehensive preparation can overcome previous results. "Ready?" the director called. Marvin took his scientifically optimized stance, every element positioned according to biomechanical analysis and systematic training. His preparation represented the most comprehensive attempt anyone had ever made to develop capabilities specifically designed to defeat Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy remained in his characteristic casual posture, showing no signs of systematic preparation, scientific optimization, or acknowledgement that his opponent had undergone 18 months of dedicated training specifically to defeat him. "Draw," the director commanded. What happened next created the most devastating moment in Paramount Pictures history and established a new understanding of what transcendent mastery looked like when it encountered the absolute maximum that systematic preparation could achieve. Marvin's draw was scientifically perfect, representing the culmination of 18 months of obsessive training and systematic development. His speed of 0.12 seconds demonstrated everything that comprehensive preparation, unlimited resources, and total dedication could achieve when applied by someone with genuine commitment to systematic excellence. But Sammy Davis Jr. had already drawn, aimed, fired, holstered his weapon, and was in the process of lighting a cigarette while checking his watch for dinner reservations, all accomplished in 0.09 seconds that belonged not just beyond human achievement, but beyond the laws of physics themselves, executed with such casual precision that he appeared to be operating according to principles that existed outside reality entirely. Marvin stood frozen, his weapon only partially drawn, staring at Sammy with the expression of someone whose entire understanding of effort, preparation, and the relationship between dedication and achievement had just been obliterated by evidence that some capabilities existed beyond the reach of systematic development entirely. The assembled crowd remained silent for over 4 minutes, trying to process what they had witnessed. Several observers actually questioned whether they had hallucinated the demonstration, because what they had seen challenged fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality itself. Marvin was the first to speak, and his words carried the devastation of someone whose 18 months of obsessive preparation had just been rendered meaningless by something that operated beyond the reach of human effort entirely. 18 months, Marvin said, his voice breaking with the weight of comprehensive defeat. 18 months of systematic training, scientific methodology, biomechanical optimization, military discipline, and it means nothing. Nothing at all. Sammy took a contemplative drag from his freshly lit cigarette and looked at Marvin with the patient expression of someone who understood that he had just witnessed the complete destruction of another human being's reason for existence. "Different levels of capability," Sammy said with characteristic understatement, though his voice carried genuine sympathy for what Marvin was experiencing. But Marvin's systematic mind was struggling to process the implications of what had happened from both practical and psychological perspectives. 18 months of his life had just been revealed as fundamentally irrelevant to authentic capability that operated beyond the reach of systematic development. "Show me that again," Marvin demanded, his voice carrying the desperation of someone whose entire sense of purpose depended on understanding what had just occurred. The second demonstration was even more devastating. 0.08 seconds of impossible precision that exceeded anything in human experience, accomplished while Sammy maintained casual conversation with the director about weekend plans and treated the supposedly definitive test of systematic preparation as routine social interaction. Marvin attempted his own follow-up draw, applying maximum systematic technique and comprehensive training. But his best effort, representing 18 months of obsessive preparation, looked slow and clumsy compared to what Sammy had demonstrated with casual indifference. "I don't understand," Marvin said finally, his voice carrying the bewilderment of someone whose systematic worldview had just been completely invalidated. 18 months of scientific preparation, military discipline, biomechanical optimization, everything that should matter according to systematic methodology, and none of it means anything against what you just demonstrated. Sammy's response revealed not just superior capability, but understanding of mastery that existed beyond anything systematic preparation could achieve, regardless of dedication or resources. "Lee, you spent 18 months developing everything that systematic training can accomplish," Sammy said, his tone carrying genuine respect for Marvin's comprehensive dedication. "You optimized every variable, perfected every technique, and applied scientific methodology with unlimited commitment. That's genuinely impressive systematic work." He gestured toward Marvin's elaborate equipment and comprehensive preparation. "But what you've achieved represents the absolute pinnacle of what systematic development can accomplish. And what I'm demonstrating operates beyond systematic development entirely." Marvin listened with the fascination of someone discovering that his 18 months of obsessive preparation had been directed toward achieving something that represented only the beginning of authentic capability rather than its culmination. "When mastery becomes transcendent enough," Sammy continued, "systematic preparation actually becomes irrelevant rather than decisive. The capability operates beyond the need for development because it's natural rather than achieved." The explanation was philosophically devastating for Marvin, who was beginning to understand that his 18 months of systematic obsession had been directed toward overcoming something that existed beyond the reach of systematic development entirely. "You're saying that my 18 months of comprehensive preparation was fundamentally irrelevant to authentic capability?" Marvin asked, his voice carrying the horror of someone whose systematic life's work had just been revealed as meaningless effort. "I'm saying that systematic preparation can only take you so far," Sammy replied diplomatically. "And beyond a certain point, authentic capability requires transcending systematic methodology rather than perfecting it." Marvin stood quietly for several minutes, trying to process the implications of what he had witnessed and learned. His 18 months of obsessive preparation had just been revealed as comprehensive irrelevance to authentic mastery that operated beyond systematic development entirely. The conversation that followed revealed the depth of Marvin's psychological devastation and his struggle to understand how 18 months of unlimited dedication could have been so fundamentally meaningless against authentic capability. "Sammy," Marvin said finally, his voice carrying a brokenness that was completely uncharacteristic for one of Hollywood's toughest performers. "Yeah, Lee. 18 months of my life," Marvin said. 18 months of systematic training, scientific methodology, comprehensive preparation, and it was all pointless. Completely pointless." Sammy accepted Marvin's acknowledgement with characteristic grace, though his expression showed genuine sympathy for the psychological devastation that comprehensive defeat had created. "Different approaches serve different purposes, Lee," Sammy replied gently. "Systematic preparation produces genuine understanding and authentic development. It's just that some capabilities exist beyond systematic reach entirely." But Marvin's systematic ego was unable to accommodate the revelation that his 18 months of obsessive dedication represented not just defeat, but comprehensive irrelevance to authentic mastery that transcended systematic development entirely. The psychological impact of having his systematic worldview so completely invalidated created trauma that would end his performing career and influence the rest of his life in ways that extended far beyond entertainment industry considerations. Over the following months, Marvin's behavior became increasingly erratic and withdrawn. He stopped taking roles that required any demonstration of authentic capability, avoided industry events, and began drinking heavily to cope with the knowledge that his systematic approach to everything had been revealed as fundamentally meaningless. Lee was never the same after that second encounter, observed one veteran Hollywood insider. The first defeat had been humiliating, but the second one destroyed him completely. 18 months of preparation made completely irrelevant in less than a tenth of a second. That kind of comprehensive invalidation breaks something fundamental in a person. Industry professionals noted that Marvin's confidence had been permanently destroyed by his encounter with transcendent capability that operated beyond systematic reach entirely. He never again approached any challenge with the systematic confidence that had characterized his previous career. The incident became legendary among entertainment professionals as an example of how transcendent mastery could invalidate even the most comprehensive systematic preparation and create psychological devastation that extended beyond professional humiliation into genuine existential crisis. Marvin's agent later admitted that several major projects were canceled, specifically because Marvin's systematic confidence had been so completely destroyed that he could no longer convincingly portray characters whose authority was based on competence or capability. The studios lost faith in Lee's ability to represent authentic authority, the agent explained. When someone's systematic worldview has been so completely invalidated, it affects everything about their presence and believability. Years later, when Marvin was asked about the most difficult period of his life, he would often reference those 18 months of preparation and their aftermath as the time when he learned that some capabilities exist beyond the reach of human effort entirely. "I thought systematic preparation could overcome anything," Marvin reflected during a rare interview in the late 1970s. "I spent 18 months proving to myself that comprehensive dedication could defeat natural ability. But Sammy showed me that there are levels of mastery that exist beyond systematic reach entirely, and that's a devastating lesson for someone whose entire identity is built on the principle that effort determines results." The 0.09 seconds had lasted only an instant, but the psychological devastation it created would last for the remainder of Marvin's life, proving that sometimes the most comprehensive preparation can be made completely irrelevant by capabilities that transcend systematic development entirely. And in Hollywood, where systematic confidence was often more important than actual capability, Marvin's inability to recover from comprehensive invalidation became a cautionary tale about the psychological risks of obsessive preparation when confronted with transcendent mastery that operates beyond human reach entirely. Lee Marvin had entered that soundstage carrying 18 months of systematic obsession and comprehensive preparation, but he left understanding that authentic mastery wasn't about perfecting systematic methodology. It was about accepting that some capabilities exist beyond the reach of human effort entirely, and that recognition represented not just professional defeat, but existential devastation that would reshape the remainder of his existence.